Hi, Mark here. Trust you're well. You join me today on a family walk with our dog, and I thought I'd do a very quick video in explaining my mindset, why I have bought a Nikon Zf. And I'd like to start with some context. For most of my adult life, I've been a Nikon photographer. Film days, FM2, F3, F5 and F100. Then moving to digital, D2H. I had two D3Ss, two D5s, two 850s, and I loved the shape, the menu system, the button placement, and a camera is a tool to do a job, just like a spanner is to a mechanic. And that is not photography. Photography is, to me, light upon a subject, narrative, story and micro storytelling, and emotions within ourselves. I was very reluctant of 30 years of equipment to move to the full frame mirrorless Z system. I laid all my equipment out on the floor, from 16mm fisheye to 600mm f4, and there was 30 years of my life there. Even actually, I had the Nikon 1 V2. So I was in the mirrorless game, but on an APS-C sensor. I was really reluctant, and Nikon bought out the Z6 and the Z7, and I looked long and hard at it, and I liked the idea, but it wasn't for me. And it was a very expensive purchase, $6,000 to buy a 24-70-2.8 and a Z7. And I was uncomfortable spending that money, finding out that it wasn't for me. However, Nikon bought the Z5 out, and it came with a little kit lens, and it was about £1,500. And I sat there and I went, well, if I don't like it, I could lose maybe £200, £300, maybe £400 and sell it a few days later. Well, firstly, the Z5 is not an entry-level mirrorless camera. It's an entry point to the Z series full frame. It is absolutely a superb camera. I purchased that with the kit lens, and I fell in love within 40 minutes. It was light, it was compact, it allowed me to get the camera into places where a D5 could not. So I laid all my equipment out on the floor in our conservatory, working out where I was going in my journey of photography and how I could fund replacing the majority of my F-mount equipment to move to Z-mount, because I could see the future in Z. The distance between the mount and the sensor, the size of the mount, I could see the opportunities that the gear could give us technically. So now today, fast forward 5 years, 6 years, I have a, I hope the wife doesn't see this, most of the Z mount cameras, there's a couple I don't have, FC, the Z50, that's it I think, and now with the ZF. Now, I take pictures most days, and even if you love photography, sometimes you lose your mojo, your will, your enthusiasm to take images. I'm fortunate that I'm no longer in the commercial marketplace. I still service my commercial clients, my legacy clients, but I don't take on new clients. And I photograph what I want to photograph. I now do a lot of projects, research into emotions, psychology, psychogeography, effect theory, and visual art within my image. So I've moved on in my photography. But today, I still sometimes feel disheartened with my practice. I don't know why. I'm rediscovering myself with my photography. So, why the ZF? Why? This is what you come here for. Why? I've had this 2 weeks. I always said that I would buy a ZF and it would replace my Z5. My Z5 I've sent off to have some work done to it. It's out of warranty now, etc. and so on. And that project will be coming up on YouTube soon. So please subscribe and I'll let you know when that project comes out. But what the ZF allows me to do, and yes, we could talk all day long about technical. Is it a good camera? Is it the best camera? Is it this camera? Is it that camera? There's no such thing as the perfect camera. But what the ZF allows me to do is to think about my photography. It's not just putting the camera to the eye, click, turning a few dials. And I don't like using the phrase, it slows you down. Yes, it does slow you down because you've got all the buttons and the dials and it does tons and tons of things. But I'm back in love with photography. I can sit and contemplate, what am I looking at? How do I want to photograph that? Where I felt towards the end of the D series and into the F, going out every day or most days taking photographs, even if it's for a couple of hours, it became quite monotonous. It's you challenge yourself, how can I photograph this? Why am I photographing this? And you're challenging yourself and you're taking a picture, thinking, moving on. And that period of taking a picture, thinking about it, moving on is quite brief. Well, with the design and the ergonomics of this camera, I feel it puts a little barrier between your mind, your heart, the technical skill set and taking the photograph, allowing you to think about or spending time in a space and place. So you might be a street photographer. You sit on the bench, not just sitting there for 15 minutes, you sit there for 2 hours watching the interaction of people, pre-visualizing where people are walking. Are they walking up this side of the concourse? Are they walking up that side of the freeway? Are they sidewalk? Are they walking this way, that way? And you tend to see people, like photographers, are tribal. They walk in sections in street photography. And this allows me to slow my thought process, read what I see, look at that narrative, that subject. And I've fallen back in love with my day-to-day photography. Now, there is no such thing as a perfect camera. You and I, we are all different. Even practical things, size of hand, height, weight, shape. So there's a demographic that there is no perfect camera because, this is heavier than a Z5. It's metal, all at the top, it's all metal. The base is all metal. This bit here I think is a composite, but it's all metal. So the weight is a question mark. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the emotion in the image that I take and how I feel and how I can communicate that emotion within the narrative that I'm photographing. So this camera, I love it. I have bought the small rig grip. I'm going to experiment with different grips, the wooden grips, the grips Nua, I believe it's pronounced. They've brought out a new grip, CA0072, I think it's called. It's got a thumb support here. So I'm going to explore the ergonomics because we've all become used to the grip at the front and so on, and this is more of an F3, the slim film body. And does it feel comfortable in your hand? Only you will know that. Only you will find that out. But I have the small rig grip because it was readily available, very, very easy to get hold of. The focus system is very much improved, because that's the big question a lot of people say. Yeah, the original Z mount, the 6 and 7, focus wasn't the best in the world, but they've improved firmware. I love Nikon's approach in keep improving the firmware. So yes, cameras are every 4-year cycle, but they keep servicing them and servicing them. So in summary, I love the button placements, I love the feeling, I love taking it, and the 40mm f2 lens is a lovely little lens for this, for travel and street photography. It doesn't stick out. The 1.8 shallow depth of field, you do get that bit more depth of field on the 35, 50 and 85 1.8Ss. So, why have I bought it? In summary, I've fallen back in love with photography. I feel connected between this non-emotional piece of equipment and the emotion of what I see and what I feel and how I can communicate that through this sensor. That is the main reason why I have bought the Nikon Zf. I have fallen back in love with photography. Now, the camera's 18 months old now in technology wise. Why did I wait so long to buy that camera? Well, they were, I think, about £3,000 when they came out, and they dropped to around about 2,500, like most cameras do in technology after the first 6 months or so. So it dropped £500. What's that? 20% roughly? Well, it was in my Amazon wish basket, and I very rarely buy equipment from Amazon. I support my local camera shop. But I got a little message from Amazon just saying that something in your wish basket has dropped £1,000. What's that? It's got to be a camera piece of equipment. And the FM was £1,400. And I was sitting in a cafe, and it just so happened that it was the day after my credit card statement, and I bought it. So I'm very much a believer, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And that coinciding of, right, it's the day after my credit card, I haven't got to pay for it for 60 days, and it's £1,000 off. I'll have that, thank you very much. So this Nikon Zf cost me £1,400. I'll put a link in the description to the Amazon listing. It's an affiliate link. Won't cost you any more to the listing that I got it for, so you may be able to get it for that type of money. I hope my thoughts have helped you today. If it has, and you like this type of content where markology is all about gear, thought processes of gear, where my other YouTube channel, Mark Stothard, is all about my practice, my what am I doing, where am I going, what have I created. Well, this is all about gear, and I've deliberately kept them separate. So if you'd like to subscribe, please do so. I'll put a link to my other YouTube channel in the description. If you've got a comment about the ZF, if there's something you'd like to know, I'm happy to do other videos about it. Well recommended. Take care, stay safe. I hope this helps you. Happy photography.